Welcome, everyone, to the Marcus Williams Training Academy Professional Misconduct Response Program. This is Lesson 4, Receiving Allegations. And today we are going to talk about how to set up your program to receive allegations, but also when those come in, how to properly handle those receipts, those new allegations. And this is Lesson 4 of the Professional Misconduct Response Program. If you haven't yet gone through lessons 1 through 3, I would encourage you to do so. This one stands on its own, but they do all build on each other. So those are available, and I encourage you to go back to lessons 1 through 3 on building your policy, why having a strong process matters, and strategy. My name is Marcus Williams. I am the president of the Marcus Williams Training Academy. I have been working in investigations for about 20 years. And I started, my first real job was as a police officer out of college. And I was a police officer at the Pentagon. And we had a lot of different duties at the Pentagon. And it's a massive office building that has upwards of 50,000 people going in and out of it every day. So it's like a city. So we had our law enforcement duties. We responded to reports of crimes. We responded to emergencies, to traffic accidents, to drugs, DUIs, all sorts of things that a normal police officer would do. But we also had facility security duties. So we acted as access control to the doors of the Pentagon to make sure that the right people, only authorized personnel, were actually getting into the building. Those are two very different roles. And what I found was there were officers who wanted to be access control. They wanted to be on the security side. There were officers who wanted to be on the more law enforcement proactive side. A lot of the officers who wanted to be in the access control, the security side, they'd already had careers as law enforcement. They'd retired with a state or local job. And so this is what they wanted to do. So it was great that people could be in the position that they wanted. Sometimes, however, when I was acting in a law enforcement capacity, when I was driving a patrol car and I would make a traffic stop, people would become confused because their only other interaction with our officers was every day as they walked into the building and showed their ID card and went through the metal detector. And so they saw us as security guards. And so they were confused when one of us would pull them over in a marked police vehicle with lights and everything. Because their interaction, their knowledge, their first impression had always been the security side. We had other people, especially those from the public who may have just been passing through. There was a metro station on the Pentagon, so we'd get a lot of people who would park there and take the metro into the city. Their only interaction with us was as police officers. And so that first interaction, that first impression really drove what they thought of us and what they thought of our agency. And one isn't better than the other. It was just different. And so you would get someone who was confused and sometimes someone who would get a little angry or upset because how dare a security officer be pulling me over pretending to be a cop? And we'd have to explain, well, actually, we are all police officers. We just have different jobs and different functions. But it was that first response, and that required us as police officers to, those doing police duties, law enforcement duties, to be very professional so that we wouldn't create a bad opinion of those who were also interacting with them every day at access control points. That first interaction is very important no matter what you do. So that situation was a little bit different because we had two different roles. But today we're talking about your first interaction when someone comes to you with an allegation of misconduct, because that really will inform their opinion of you, of your organization, of your team, however you have it organized to do your internal investigations. There needs to be a process on how those allegations come to you, how misconduct is reported, and that should be detailed in your policy. So as you're writing your policy, think about that. That's great if you outline the entire investigative process and all the behaviors, but if you don't tell people how to report, then you've created this gap that you need to bridge. How do they get to the other side? So I'm equating this whole process to a window. One person is on the inside looking out, one person is on the outside looking in, and you need to figure out a way to open up the communication, to open the window so that you can effectively talk and meet with each other. And when you create that policy on how things are going to be reported, that needs to be included in your training. If you remember back to lesson one, we talked about the importance of once your policy is finalized, you need to go out and educate everyone. Create a presentation, whether it's a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever fits, and educate everyone on the policy and the process. And one of the really important points that you need to hit is how to report misconduct. And then you go into, okay, what happens after you report it? What does the process look like? What are all the other questions? But unless you tell them how to report, the window's shut. There's no way for them to communicate, to get that information to you. You're just staring at each other through this open window or through this closed window. The policy was designed so that you could effectively respond to and deal with allegations, so that you could make proper decisions, informed decision based on the evidence and based on the facts to help your business. But again, if you never receive them, you can't do that. Or if it gets all mixed up or screwed up, then you're going to be acting on bad information. When you deviate from the process or the policy that you set out, you're starting the entire process on the wrong foot. If you don't train those first responders, the people most likely to receive reports, and they do something wrong, they do something against the policy, you haven't trained them on what to do or what to say or how to funnel that report to you, you're starting the entire thing on the wrong foot. So that needs to be very clear in your policy. And pretty much every lesson is going to go back to the policy, because everything you do needs to be connected to the policy. So you'll find that a common theme throughout this training program.